Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday night, time for your favorite show on the internet and period. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're here live with us, jump in the chat, let us know what you think. If you're watching the replay, get in the comments section, show us some love there. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions and Oakmont Financial Partners. I'm your host, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is the living legend, the 1999 All SEC linebacker, Marvin Constant, two-time national champion, the face of the USFL, and who brought home that gold to the Birmingham Stallions, Mr. Bo Scarbrough. And the man who really keeps the lights on for us, the ratings pouring in, who keeps Paul Feinbaum employed, the senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Stephen M. Smith. I got too hyped, Steven. Sorry about that.
Hey, man.
That damn shirt. That shirt was throwing you off.
It did.
Hey, look.
That shirt looked like it vibrate.
Wow.
I started hallucinating for a minute there, man. I know what was going on.
We know that this shirt is made from the finest LSD. So, yeah.
The finest LSD out of Marion County.
I feel like I'm looking at the visible light part of the electromagnetic spectrum right now.
Okay, Mr. Chemistry, Physics, okay.
I feel like at any moment Jimi Hendrix is going to start playing.
Not Jimmy.
Yes, Jimmy, the Jimi Hendrix. Hey, but folks, got a quick update. Unfortunately, our guest, Nick Gentry, is not able to make it tonight. He has some bad storms come through his area, shut down power across the board, and we're going to reschedule with him. So sorry about that, but hey, you still got us, and we got a lot to talk about. Sugar Bowl win. We got a lot going on in terms of the NFL draft, but we're going to let the man who is in the middle of it all, Stephen M. Smith, start us out. Stephen M. Smith, we got a lot to unpack tonight. Tell us what we got to talk about.
Well, first and foremost, you got the guys that have declared for the NFL draft. We kind of knew who these people were going to be, especially the main four of the five that have declared. We knew Bryce Young and Will Anderson were both going to go. That's no surprise to anybody. I mean, both guys project the top 3 to top 5 picks. Either one of these two could be the number 1 overall pick, so we knew that. The third name that took the draft chair was Jahmyr Gibbs on Monday. Gibbs can go anywhere, top 20, top 25. Some boards even have him top 15. Very versatile running back. The fourth name that declared was Brian Branch. I think he kind of played his way up in that first round range due to the Sugar Bowl. Had 14 tackles, 4 of those for loss. Couple of pass breakups, a sack, 1 interception, really played well. The next guy that declared was Eli Ricks. And that one was really interesting because, yes, he had the successful freshman year at LSU, but has not done much since then. He was hurt, the second year at LSU, missed 10 games because of a shoulder injury. And, of course, this season didn't start until the Mississippi State game, but chose to put his name in the draft hat. And now the latest name not the latest name, but those are the names I've declared. So that's Eli Ricks, that's Brian Branch, that is Jahmyr Gibbs, Bryce Young, and Will Anderson.
All right, guys, what we think off the bat? Of course, Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Jahmyr Gibbs, expected, top round, top grade. Will and Bryce, top 5. Some projected them as number 1. Jahmyr, like Steven said, is going to be probably mid-round, mid-first. And Brian Branch, probably mid-first, may sneak up a little bit higher. But, Bo, you had an interesting question before we jumped on, and that was about Eli Ricks, man. If you would, what are your thoughts about that? And any hesitation as far as him going, or are you in favor of it?
I mean, I asked Marv what he think about it. I mean, I don't know much about the guy, what he did in his previous years, but from what I heard that he only had 1 good year out of the 3-4 years that he played, and for me, if I was in that situation, I would have came back. I don't know his situation or what people are telling him or what may be going on, in the background or whatever, but from the stats and just looking at the game on the outside looking in, he should have came back. As my perspective of what I think.
Marvin, you look like you got something to say about it. Please, by all means, take the floor, sir.
I'll say this, from the time when I played at Alabama, from the time before I played, even after I left, there's always been guys that we've seen that came out declared for the draft that could have used an additional year. Because here's the reality of it, and Bo knows this. When you don't get that high draft selection and you're a free agent or a late round draft pick, you're just trying to make the team. Also, there's a difference in how your contract is structured and the money you'll make. There's so many different variables that come into play that are related to where you're drafted at. That if you can come back to school and increase your draft status to give yourself that much more job security down the line, it is to your benefit. I think he should have came back. Prime example, we'll look at Slade Bolden last year. We had Slade on. And one of the things that I said was, this kid could use another year. All right. Because again, had he came back this year, he would have hands down been the number one receiver because out of the bunch that we have, he clearly would have been the standout. He comes back, he's the number one receiver. Who knows what draft position he could have put himself in. Clearly, he wouldn't have been on the practice squad this year, putting himself in that position. So when you think about how that played out for him and the fact that he ended up on the practice squad, when he could have came back and played another year to increase his stock, his value. Because again, you're more likely to make the roster when you're a second or third round draft pick than you are as a late round draft pick or a free agent. That's just the reality of business. So the same thing for Ricks, he has a chance to put more on film because again, they always say the eye in the sky doesn't lie. When you get film on guys, that's quality film. Like my coach always used to say, you're putting money in your bank. How much money has Eli really put in his bank the past 2 years? Not much. So how do you expect someone to come out and give you this whole pile of money when you don't have the film or the body of work to support them giving you that amount of money?
Agreed. And that's one of my points. As soon as I heard the news earlier was we haven't really seen significant film since his freshman year at LSU. And when he transferred to Alabama, we didn't see him on the field significantly until the Mississippi State game. He played one full game healthy, then got a little bit banged up after that, and we didn't really see him again until the Sugar Bowl. So you don't have film to watch. You don't have a healthy version to look at. But the other thing I'm looking at, if I'm a GM or a coach, Eli, why didn't you play until the Mississippi State game? What was going on there? Is there something we need to dig into? Do we need to talk to coaches, players? That to me is a huge red flag that would go against him. I understand he's one of the most talented guys out there. Absolutely. But when you start questioning things like that, it could hurt him, like you said, Marvin. So another year of a full season with tape helps him out tremendously.
Bo can tell you this. There's a huge difference between being a first round draft pick, especially if you're a top 10 pick, versus anything third round and below. There's a major difference in your earnings as well as your contract, how your contract is structured, and the likelihood of your longevity in the NFL.
I mean,
Right.
I look at this. To me, I kind of equate this to the Savion Smith effect. If y'all remember Savion Smith, 2018, he started off his career at LSU, went the JUCO route, and then came to Alabama. And then 2018, Savion Smith had, 60 tackles, had 3 or 4 interceptions, had a decent year, but not a year to where he could have really put himself as a solidified top-round pick. And I remember he got hurt against Clemson in a national championship game, and a lot of people felt like, okay, Savion needs to come back. Somebody gets into Savion's ear and says, hey, man, you can be a second-round pick. You had a decent year. You had a good enough year. Go out and declare for the draft. What does Savion do? He listens. He goes out for the draft. Savion goes undrafted. And he's been bounced around from the Cowboys, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know where Savion is right now. So it's a very dangerous thing when you don't have enough tape, as Marvin said, to have that value for yourself. And then you listen to, whether it's the agents you're talking to, whether it's different family members you're talking to, different friends you're talking to, and they're putting that bug in your ear, you good enough, man, you good enough. And I'm not saying Eli Ricks is not talented, because he is. It's just that when you don't have enough tape to cover yourself, you hurt yourself in the long run.
And the reality of it is, if you can come back and get that film to where you can make yourself a first-round draft pick, I would encourage anybody to do that because, again, when you have that first-round draft pick contract with that fifth-year option, it's going to increase your overall value throughout the duration of your career.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you like you just said, hearing all
And
the
hold
chirping.
up.
Oh,
And with NIL money, you don't even have to be in a hurry to leave college anymore. What the hell?
no,
Right.
not at all.
I was just about to say that.
But Bo, you've been in the middle of it. First of all, in terms of what they really look at as far as your character, things like Eli Ricks, where he was gone from Jar this season. How much do they actually pay attention to that? And then two, how trustworthy can some of these agents and people who are chirping in their ear be when it comes to making this decision?
Not very trustworthy.
Right. I mean, yeah, of course they do. Like y'all said, they want to know why he didn't play, the beginning of the season. And like I said, I don't know much about the guy, man, but someone definitely probably in the ear about telling him to come out because ain't no way that Coach Saban would have told him to leave with the situation that he in and the stacks that he have and everything that he have been through. I mean, he still had to prove himself that he can actually play 15 games and not give up any passes or play a decent season. And we have yet to see that from him at Alabama, of course, and GMs are definitely looking at the things you said, Justin, and I think it's gonna be pretty hard for him. He gonna wish he had came back, but I respect the decision, and he's the one that have to go through that. And yeah, man, he just have to. He had to.
Bo, let me just say this, Bo. Let me just say it. A lot of these agents are grimy as hell, and it's all about the business to them. So for most agents, they're going to go out and sign, let's say, 20, 30 kids. All they really need is half of those kids to make it. So the other half who don't make it, it's old hell well with them. All they need is half of what they signed to make it. So it's a gamble for them. Like, yeah, okay, I'll sign this kid. I might give him $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever he needs. But for the ones who do make it, when I'm collecting my 3%, I'm going to more than make back what I needed to make off the 10 to 15 out of the group that I signed anyway. So it's like an investment. It's like buying stock. You buy stock with the hope that it hit and it pay off. Not all stocks pay off, but the ones that do pay off, sometimes you hit the lottery. That's how agents play the game. It's up to you to be smart enough not to get caught up in the hype of what they're telling you. You don't have to buy the bull, especially now with NIL, because again, you can come back to school and still get some money in your pocket, a decent amount legally. What's the hurry?
Lushan poses a good question here. Was this more Coach Saban telling him that his time is now more than him wanting to come back with the talent we have coming in, being devil's advocate? Stephen and Smith, you want to take that?
That could be something there. I mean, you look at, Bama signed a big defensive back class for 2023. When you do look at Caleb Downs, who was on the field with Clinton Dix at the Sugar Bowl, when you look at Tony Mitchell coming in and Jaleel Hurley, Brayson Hubbard, also you have a guy like Earl Little Jr., who has a year under his belt, and Earl Little, whose dad played in the NFL. Earl Little, who was coached by Patrick Surtain Sr. in high school. That guy's got quick footwork in his own right. So it could be kind of the thing where Saban's saying, look, we got a lot of DBs in here. But at the same time, I go back to what Marvin just mentioned. When you got the NIL money in here and you got a chance to put more tape on yourself and to have yourself competing for a national championship, because look, when Eli Ricks first got here, some of the goals he put for himself, let's get 20-plus pass breakup. Let's get 5+ interceptions. Let's get, All-American. Let's get All-SEC. Let's get, national championship. Let's get Jim Thorpe Award. He accomplished none of those things.
So could he not go back in the portal?
I mean, he could, but the thing about it, if you write these things and say you're going to accomplish
right, but what I'm saying is when you were just talking about it's a numbers game, If coach tell him it's a numbers game, okay, we'll just go get in the portal. Go to a school that needs a DB. Because the bottom line is he needs the tape.
Right.
Absolutely. And here's a question I thought about, and Lushan and some others are mentioning in the live chat. Could this possibly open the door for Kamani McLean to come in?
And that's the guy that Richard Young, who deserves a check for this recruiting for 2023, but that's the guy that 5-star running back Richard Young is spending the most time trying to get. Kamani McLean was down there in Orlando, Florida. The Under Armour All-America practices this week. The game was today. But Richard Young has spent a great deal of time trying to get McLean on board.
Absolutely. But as far as the NFL draft and those who have put their name in the hat and then those who are graduating, based on what we saw Saturday, guys, give me your top 3 of who made themselves the most money. I'm going to go with Brian Branch, Cam Latu, and Byron Young. Marvin, I'll let you start it off.
That sounds about right for me, but I know who didn't really improve there. But we ain't gonna talk about that.
We'll have your bottom 3 in just a minute.
We ain't gonna talk about that. I'm gonna be
I couldn't imagine who you put in the list.
I'm gonna be positive today, but I'm just happy he declared for the draft so we can open the floor up for some of the young guys.
Marv, you always negative. Who?
Nope, we're not doing that today. It is 2023.
Man, we have a tamer Marvin here in 2023.
Listen, it's 2023. I'm going to stay positive this year.
Hold on. Who are you? And what
who are you? Is it Steven's shirt is messing with your mind? Is that what it is?
Okay.
He's got a hypnotic spell going on.
The shirt. I'll be right back.
Hey, man.
No, you're good. But I'll just say this. During the game, on our group text, I see somebody say, come on, Toa, and it wasn't me.
But, okay. To chime with Justin, I agree with the 3 names Justin mentioned, but I'll also throw one more in there. I thought Bryce Young solidified himself as the number 1 quarterback. I know a lot of people looked at C.J. Stroud, the way he played against Georgia, and Stroud played well. He really did. But Bryce had some throws against Kansas State that were NFL throws. I mean, dropped one in the bread basket to Ja'Cory Brooks. I mean, was making stuff happen out of nothing as he normally does and has done throughout his career. I thought Bryce, I know people will nitpick his size. I'm
not going to nitpick because I hit the first half over and the second half over because of
So I'm going to say this. I thought Bryce solidified himself as the number 1 quarterback in this draft.
Bo, do you have a top 3 of who probably earned the most money for themselves in this?
I got someone to add to that. He's been my favorite since he's been there, Alabama, and Jordan Battle.
Yep.
I think he played a very solid game.
Got his first pick of the season.
Yeah,
was that really his first pick?
Solid game.
Yes.
Wow. Sorry, Bo. Go ahead.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, he played a solid game. He played the way that I expected him to play. From the beginning, that what made me start liking him the way that he was playing. So he brought that back this game. I don't know what got into him or what was it, the 3 weeks off or whatever it was, but I think that he solidified himself as in that top range.
Yeah, I agree completely on that. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, he earned some money, but I think he more so solidified his money. I mean, he just showed out, and he was one of the main spark providers of that offense that allow us to really turn things around. Because in that first quarter, we were down 10-0 right after an 88-yard touchdown by Deuce Vaughn. Marvin called it, and it had not been for Jahmyr Gibbs catching that shallow pass and taking it 57 yards, might be looking at a different situation, but that really turned things around and kind of started the ball rolling. But he came up big in a lot of ways Saturday, I felt. He didn't have a touchdown, but, I mean, the man had over 100 total yards. And not only him, I feel like I said, Cam Latu had a great day. He added more value to himself and came up big, especially in the second half.
I'll say this. I was actually surprised. Jermaine Burton actually looked like he finally showed up to actually play a game.
For the first time all season, he got separation vertically on several routes. Got separation vertically, beat his guy off the line. It looked like the Sugar Bowl was finally Jermaine Burton I'm ready to be developed. He looked like he was a leader out there.
Yeah. Took him all season, but hey, as long as you got there, kid, hey, I'm happy for you.
Now, of course, the young guys, Prentice and Bond, did their thing, but I was very happy for Burton.
So what do you feel like what led to the coming out party in terms of the wide receivers? Because, arguably they played the best game of the entire season. Were they just in sync, or was it the defense? What could you attribute that to?
I'll say this. I think, number one, having those extra practices and bowl prep really helped. But I think, number two, getting guys that were not fully balled in out of the area was a big thing also. Because if you look at it, guys like Kobe Prentice and Isaiah Bond, they got the mindset of, we should have been playing all year. And because of the fact that they were not playing all year in terms of, you had more Trayshawn Holden out there, and Trayshawn Holden, good kid, but, had ups and downs throughout the season. You had more of JoJo Earl out there, and, JoJo, good talent, but, of course, now he's at TCU. You had guys out there that could play, just were not consistent at all. And then here is Isaiah Bond and Kobe Prentice going, we know we can ball. We know we can ball. Get us out here. And with those other guys removed, and those young guys having 11 bowl practices to show Coach Saban, I am that dude, they took full advantage of it.
I mean, here's the reality of it. You got to think about this logically. By the time bowl practice comes around, you're not a freshman anymore, technically, in the coach's mind. You've been in the system long enough where you should know what you're doing and should be able to execute it at a high level. If you're not, you're in the wrong place. So going into bowl practice, they should have been ready.
Right. I absolutely agree. And one of the things that I felt like really led to the emergence of the wide receivers was proper uses of the run game. We had a hard time in the trenches to kind of start things out, but then we started to slowly establish a run game and started establishing some dominance up front. And it was great seeing Jahmyr Gibbs used in the right way and Jace McClellan used in the right way. And I feel like that really opened things up for our offense.
And Jamarian Miller at the end being used the right way as well.
Right. Well, how would you guys grade the first half? Like I said, start out kind of shaky. Like I said, I kind of felt like that we would have no problem going against their front seven because, one, as far as our offensive line, they are known for giving up a lot of pressure. Matter of fact, they were ranked 119th in the country as far as pressure given up. And their defensive line, their front seven, was allowing about 6 yards per carry coming into this game. So I thought this was a huge advantage for us. But for whatever reason, we had a hard time settling in. But then once we did, like I said, after Jahmyr Gibbs doing his thing and then Jermaine Burton catching that touchdown, we started to establish that dominance and dictate how the flow of the game went.
But I told you if they didn't corral them early, it was going to be problematic. I told you 22 is going to show up. If they don't get a handle on him, it's going to be a problem. And you seen that first quarter until they finally settled down because, hell, he had 100 yards rushing in the first quarter. I told you that if you don't control that kid and you let him truly get hot, your ass is in for a long day.
Right. And K-State even still moved the ball, after we established that lead. It took a fourth down play to stop them. And, man, we barely stopped them. But what really I feel like was the turning point was we didn't kneel it going in. We drove it 98 yards down the field, hurt their pride, and put it in the end zone. Of course, Jermaine Burton with that very alpha catch. That was huge going into the locker room.
That was huge. But I'm going to also say this, and I know Marvin is going to be excited about this, but the one linebacker that I saw through stuff, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch him. 32 Deontay Lawson had a heck of a game.
Oh, yeah, he did. I thought you was about to say somebody else. Now we're going to jump through this.
Lawson had a game. Shooting gaps, had several tackles for loss, and would have had another tackle for loss on Deuce Vaughn. He just could not quite finish it, but he strung it out enough to where Brian Branch could. I thought Deontay Lawson played a phenomenal game.
The kid played a great game, man, because, again, we needed that. I've been saying it all season, man. Let the young guys get out there. Hell, they couldn't be no worse than some of the older guys here. I mean, what do you got to lose at this point? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm glad to see them get out there and do that. And like you said, that catch that Burton had in the second quarter right before halftime to hit that first half over, boy, I could have been proud of him, boy. Oh, hey, man, listen. Burton actually showed up, and I was so happy he did, because had it not been for Burton, my bank account would have been a little bit lighter. But again, I'm thankful that, he showed up and that the team showed up. And overall, man, that team put on a dominant performance from the late first quarter throughout that game. And, my thing is, why couldn't we get that team from game one throughout the season? Because, again, Kansas State's not a bad team,
No.
and you even seen it the first quarter where we struggled with Kansas State till they finally decided, okay, let's actually play to our abilities, guys. Let's use the talents we were given. Okay, why couldn't we have the team that we had from the second quarter on throughout the duration of the season? Because, again, to stop and okay, look at it like this. You seen Deuce Vaughn first quarter rush for over 100 yards. From the second quarter on, didn't do nothing, right? Because they actually said, why couldn't they have that mentality from game one throughout the season?
I'm just as frustrated as you are, because if that team,
hold on, because here's the reality: they just dominated this Kansas State team that just beat TCU. Okay, so for you to just dominate the Big 12 champion like this, who just beat TCU, and they had TCU in a dogfight the entire game.
right?
And even the first time they played TCU, they were in a dogfight with them. But we physically dominated them from late first quarter on. Where was this team all season long?
Yeah, I agree. This team shows up in Knoxville, not even close. This team shows up against LSU, they run them out of the building. And we're not having this discussion right now. We're getting ready for next Monday.
Yeah.
It pays to have the right characters in the room. And a lot of the guys that were starting on this team before they hit the portal were not the right characters in the room. So
that's a job. That's a decision that the coach makes. Okay, if you see that XYZ over here is dragging your locker room and your team down, you bench their ass. That's why you're getting paid all the money, not us to do it. You're getting paid to do it. I put their ass on the bench. I put their ass behind the bench. I sent their ass home.
But what did you like about the energy of the players in this game? That's one of the things that was very noticeable. We had problem generating that throughout the entire season. During the entire game Saturday, I saw no problem with those guys getting fired up. I saw no quietness on the sideline. This is something different.
I don't know, man. It probably was Ha Clint Dix. You never know.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Ha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, it probably had something to do with it, or these guys probably just, took in what was being told and what was being said and ran with it, or maybe, like I said, the 3 weeks of practicing that they itching to come out there and hit somebody or ready to play, and to show the world that they got to show the commissioner that they got the playoff wrong, that we should have been in there, as I think.
Yes.
Hey, Bo, whose job did Ha take?
I don't know.
Because to bring someone in means someone had to either leave or get fired.
Okay, I know. Denzel Duval is still the director of player development, so Duval is still there. I don't know who was the player personnel guy that Ha-Ha's taken over for, but I know it's not Duval. Duval is still there.
What about Josh Chapman? He's still there?
Chapman is still there. Chapman's part of strength and conditioning. He works also with the defensive line. So I'm wondering, who spot did Ha take?
I'm wondering.
Yeah. Hey, quick shout out to Big Bill from New York, $5 donation. And then right behind him is Jamie Wilhelm, $4.99 donation. Yeah.
Thank you. We can get Steve a new shirt because this thing is You're on mute, Steven.
Yeah,
your shirt is
full of physics right here. Full of physics right here. Good shirt. Love this shirt right
here. Your shirt was disrupting your frequency, okay? It was throwing it off. So
Good thing I don't have epilepsy. I'd be on the floor right now looking at Steven's shirt.
Hold on now. That's serious, Justin. That's serious.
Okay, my bad.
Oh boy.
But yeah, first half we did things the right way, and we didn't hold back. We didn't stop. We didn't put a foot on the brakes whatsoever. The gas button was pushed full throttle come second half, and Kansas State helped us out by a moment of desperation, and that was an onside kick to open things up. And you don't give Bama the ball, a motivated Bama the ball, because right after that was probably one of the most beautiful passes thrown in the entire year. And that was Bryce Young with that rainbow dropped right in the most perfect places to Ja'Cory Brooks in the end zone.
Right. But Justin, you got to give a lot of credit on that play to Roydell Williams on the hands team on that onside kick. The ball came right to him. A lot of guys may try to overdo it, try to scoop and score. Roydell gets right on the ball, secures it. A guy that plays phenomenal special teams. Could be a starting running back anywhere else in the country, but a great job by Roydell.
So he didn't do what 3 did for Arkansas when they kicked the onside kick and just let the ball bounce and act like he was scared to go sacrifice his body to go get the ball, which ultimately led to Arkansas losing, which ultimately led to me losing. What you saying, right?
Yeah.
It's the world versus Marvin Constant.
How do you have a 15-point lead with 2 minutes and 26 seconds to go? And you run a reverse in your receiver, man, please, I'm taking a knee. They out of timeout. What the hell was Arkansas? That was the worst coaching job I've seen in my life.
Man. Sam Pittman had one too many Cobalt 45s, man. It's okay.
They had no timeouts left. All you got to do is take a knee. Let the clock run down. Even if it's on 4th down and you turn the ball over, they would have had like 13, 14 seconds left with no timeouts, down by 2 scores. Man, please, I'm taking them odds every day of the week. That was piss poor coaching.
Damn. You just can't be great, can you, Marvin? Hey, RMF Todd says
I thought you was being positive in 2023.
Yeah,
well,
positive
you
Marvin.
costing me money, but I got it all back though, because I'm gonna tell you, I hit the over on the LSU Purdue game. I hit the over on that USC Tulane game. I hit the over on
You
that,
got that game?
Utah Penn State. I hit a lot of overs. I was killing them, boy. I came back strong, baby.
Wait, how in the world would you? Never mind.
How in the word of what?
You know what? I'm making the call to season Superdome. I'm getting you down there, Marvin. You can handicap all the books.
RMF Todd says you're wearing Bert and Ernie shirt, Steven.
Listen, I'll give y'all a tip on how I pick my over and unders. Most of the time, it's overs. That's what I look for. So I always look at what the over under is before kickoff, and then you watch the flow of the game in that first quarter, and you'll see how fast teams are scoring or not scoring, and that over under will adjust. If that thing usually ticks down anywhere from 5 to 8 points below where it opened at, I'm taking it, because usually you're going to hit that because they'll pick that pace back up and they'll make those points up, and it gives you a better advantage of winning. And usually you're playing a touchdown less than it originally opened at.
Thank you, Don Parker.
If you need a handicapper, we have Marvin Constant right here. Vegas, if you need a handicapper, Marvin has won people money for the past 5 years.
I'm telling you, man, just watch it, man. You know, like I say, hey, just watch the flow of the game that first quarter and go in live action, and you'll see that number constantly fluctuate. Usually, if nobody scores up front, even like the Bama game, the first half over and under, it opened at like 30-some points. But because they were slow to score, it dropped down, and I got the first one at 27.5. And then it dropped again to 20.5 because nobody was scoring. And I said, oh, that's perfect to jump in. And like I said, it picked back up and it kicked in. So you just got to watch the flow of the game. And a lot of times you'll see how the game is going. And if it's a game that's not going so well, like I hit the under yesterday on the Mississippi State game. Okay, I seen nobody was scoring. They went to half. It was like 10-3 or something. And the second half over under was like 31.5 for the game. And I'm like, if you want to score 10 points, defenses are both playing. There's no way in hell that they're going to go over 31.5 points. Had it not been for that touchdown on that last little fumble-rooski play they was running, the final score would have been 13-10 or something like that.
Yeah, 13-10.
Right. So, you just got to watch the flow of the game, see how it goes, and you can dictate a lot of how you're going to make your best. But you got to go to live action. You got to know where it starts before kickoff, and then look at the flow.
Did Marvin just give us a whole lesson on betting?
He did. He did. I think we just inadvertently stepped into a new segment for our show. We
Hey, man,
need content
that's
for the
what I
off
do
season.
every weekend, man.
Yeah. VP. Hey, Marvin. There you go. You got your first enrollee. Marvin needs to teach a class on betting so we can all make money. Hey, but Ephraim Davis does have a question, and I want people to hit the like button when he answers this question. Marvin, why don't you get into coaching?
Well, for a while, I did coach originally, but due to my knees, I couldn't take standing up and doing all that demonstrating hours upon hours, and it was taking a toll on my body. So I stopped doing it years ago because I wasn't physically able to do it from my knee injury. That's why I say people don't understand how much of a toll the game of football actually takes on your body. One of my good friends actually called me. Well, he emailed me first and asked me a question. Like, okay, so come to find out, he needs both of his knees replaced. So I gave him, Dr. Kane's assistant's email. Like, yeah, just email Josh, tell him I gave you his email, and he'll get you set up. But it's so many things that we go through that people don't even realize that they affect you on a day-to-day basis throughout the duration of your life. So I wanted to coach, and I enjoyed coaching when I coached, but my body just couldn't take it anymore.
Gotcha. I do have to ask a serious question, getting back to the game. One of the things I noticed, the thing we all noticed, was the offense did not resemble what we saw the entire season. How much of Bill O'Brien's influence was removed from this game and the play calling, and how much of this may have been Bryce Young possibly calling the shots?
You could tell that quite the amount of this Bryce Young, especially by the throws that were made. There were quite a few checks made at the line of scrimmage, quite a few protections that were redirected, quite a few runs that were redirected. So a lot of this was, quite a bit of this was, Bryce Young kind of saying, hey, my last game, let me kind of take this into my own hands, so to speak. And it worked out. And it really worked out just due to the throws that Bryce was able to make, the receivers getting open, especially the one where he hits Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond is starting off on an out route. Isaiah works his way all the way to the back corner of the end zone and catches a perfect pass right there. So I think a lot of this was it's Bryce's final game. He wanted to take matters kind of in his own hands. You can kind of see within the designs of the play, the designs of the switching around of audibles and different looks and formations. You could tell that Bryce had more control of this game than what he's normally had.
I agree. And on the flip side, of course, one of the announcers had mentioned this, that during the week he was shocked at how involved Coach Saban was with the defense that week. I felt like a lot of Pete Golding was removed as well from the defense, and a lot of Saban's imprint was on the defense during the game. Based on Marvin's reaction, he may disagree with me, but I feel like there was a shift, and we're starting to see better play calling and this thing called, what's the word, adjustments?
I'll say this. The whole week of bowl prep, you actually saw Saban every day stretching with the defense. Like he stretched with those guys. He was in pregame warm-ups with those guys. Same thing I said several times. This is the best week of bowl prep I've ever had. I'm like, this is bowl prep. This ain't no national championship. This is bowl prep. And Saban's like, this is the best week of bowl prep I've ever had. So hearing him say that twice, I had an idea. This is going to be a completely different defense. Like, Pete ain't going to run this defense on Saturday. Saban looking way too happy. Ain't no way Pete going to run this defense on Saturday.
I can tell you this. I used to tell it to my son all the time. Mom gonna let you wash my car so many times before I go do it my damn self. Man, because I ain't driving around in this piece of crap job you done on my car looking crazy. I'm gonna go do it myself so I know it's done right. So I truly believe he had a lot more influence on the game planning, the play calling overall. Because again, and you know what? And thinking of it that way, Pete might have been calling the defense his first quarter when we were getting our ass handed to us. And Nick said, all right, nope, we're going back to what we did our whole bowl practice. And I'm gonna take over. You know, you're just gonna have to watch because that was a drastic change.
Just hold the clipboard,
right? Because that was a drastic change in what you see in the first quarter versus what you see throughout the duration of the game. And again, I told y'all going into this game, K-State was not going to be an easy team to beat. They start with the run game, Deuce fun. You know, once you start keying on Deuce and you got to walk that safety down in the box, it opens you up on the outside, which is exactly what we seen in the first quarter. It was exactly what I told y'all they like to do. And we started to contain Deuce Vaughn. Now we're able to keep that safety back. We no longer need him in the box. And we were able to shut them down. But I told you going into this, that's what they had to do.
Gotcha.
Right. And along with that, Marvin, from the second quarter to throughout the second half, we saw more pressure. We saw guys actually getting to Will Howard, whether it was Byron Young getting to him, whether it was Jaheim Otis getting to him.
Malachi Moore
Finished the play with the sack. Brian Branch finished the play. Guys were getting to Will Howard. Guys were hitting home. That was the second part of Coach Saban, part of that bowl prep. If we're going to blitz, if we're going to come after him, let's get home. You saw more guys for the first time this season in the Sugar Bowl. If they came hot, they got home.
Hey, Ephraim Davis Marvin has a plan B since you turned down the coaching job. What about being a scout for Alabama in terms of recruiting?
Oh, I'd be happy to do it because I damn sure wouldn't sign some of them guys that they got. Man, listen, all these stars that they give these people, man, that means nothing. Let me see what it looks like on the field. I tell y'all that all the time. I don't care if you number one player in the country, how many, show me on the field. Show me on the field because oftentimes it doesn't translate. The hype, no. You got to know a person's mentality. Just because someone has all the physical attributes doesn't mean that they have the mental attributes to match those physical attributes and that they can line it up perfectly on the field to give you what it is you desire from that player. Everybody doesn't have that case. Some people have the mental, but they don't have the physical. But they have enough want to and desire to where they're going to play their asses off. What they call the lunch pail guy. He's going to bring the lunch pail. He's going to give you effort, and he's smart enough to know where he's supposed to be. And over time, he's going to wear down who his opponent is across from him, and he's going to kick his ass that way. So there's more than one way to get results from a guy. But I think a lot of times we get so hung up on these guys with these 5 stars, but then that mental isn't right. You know, that prima donna attitude. They think when they just go out there, it's just supposed to happen. Newsflash. The people you playing against don't think that way. They're here to kick your ass. So you probably need to recruit more guys who has that mental locked in that matches that physical ability, or that lunch pail guy who has that mental, but who doesn't quite have the physical you need. But when you plug him in with those other athletes, it all works together.
So basically, Marvin, find yourself the Keith Holcomb.
I kid you not, man. I played with a guy like that, man. Jared Johnson. Jared Johnson was one of those guys, man. You know, he didn't have all the physical attributes, but he had that mental, and Jared was not going to stop. And you look at all the years Jared went on to play in the NFL. Sometimes you got to have guys like that, and you plug them in with a talent-filled roster. Oh, my God. And it works out for everyone because you know why? That guy with all that talent sees Jared or that guy like that working. Oh, I'm not going to let him outwork me. So he ups that standard and he makes everybody play just that much harder. But when you don't have people like that are willing to up that standard, that's a problem. Because again, it's one thing if the more talented guy has the work ethic and he's outshining you, but you got a guy that would have the talent of you who's out there kicking your ass and elevating the game and you can't match his effort. That's a problem.
Right. Before we get to this question in our next segment, real quick, guys, go around the room. Give me your MVPs of the Sugar Bowl. Stephen F. Smith, I'll start. You'll start. Sorry.
MVP of the Sugar Bowl, man. You want offensive and defensive?
Yes, sir.
Offensive, Bryce Young. Defensive, Brian Branch.
Amen. Bo.
Offense, Jahmyr Gibbs. Defense, Jordan Battle.
Hey, great that running back room, man. They look really good Saturday. I was really excited to see them finally get love. Yes, sir.
I got to give my offensive MVP to Bryce, Jahmyr, and them receivers. Y'all finally, there you go. Defensively, I got to give it to Branch. I mean, what he had 14 tackles, a sack, something ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, you ain't going to give it the tour.
It's just last game, Marvin.
Not the trash can, all right?
Dog.
Maybe he'll.
I mean, I've seen him get shit too many times in the hole. He doesn't make. I'm sorry, man. As a former
I'm gonna get him on here
linebacker,
one day, and they're gonna go at it. It's gonna be
Look,
awesome.
as a former middle linebacker, there's a standard that I expect to see other middle linebackers play at. You know, and like I had this, I was having a discussion with somebody, and I said, okay, so could you successfully have a conversation with someone and talk about Reuben Foster, Rolando McClain, Dante Hightower, Reggie Ragland, myself, Derek Oden, and all these other linebackers, and could you put toe-to-toe in the same conversation with all of us? And they just looked at me with a stone face and said, I finally get it.
You probably could.
Derek Oden was that dude.
But he ain't finna step in no hole. He ain't gonna take on no guard or no tackle. He ain't finna blow up no guard or tackle and go make a tackle on a running back that's devastating. If you can't blow up everything in front of you, man, and then go blow up the running back, that is the sign of a middle linebacker, man. That's when you know a middle linebacker is a true middle linebacker. If you can't take on the guard or tackle, man, you're in the wrong position. Truly, I ain't saying he's a bad player, but I'm saying he played out of position, man. And I think him playing out of position has not done him any favors. I think, if anything, he should come back for one more year and ask to play outside linebacker, and probably would have improved his stock, because he knows the game. He knows where to be, but he don't bring nothing when he get there, you know. Okay. So he would have probably benefited from coming back another year and moving to outside linebacker.
I'll take that. That's fair. That's probably the most positive thing he said all year. This is positive, Marvin. 2023.
I mean, I ain't really outside linebacker, Marvin. Play weak side. Just put somebody else in there. He could play weak side.
No. We don't even want weak side, because you still got to take on guards and tackles on the weak side. Okay, so we want to get him completely out the way of the guards and the tackles. Put him on the edge, outside. Well, hopefully, maybe he can blitz. We don't know.
All right, we got this question here. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because we'll have the whole offseason to be speculating. But real quick, Robbie Dillard wants to know when will we learn the fate of the coaching staff? I guess more so Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding.
When we lost to LSU in Tennessee.
Well, look like we'll learn the fate of Bill O'Brien after February the 28th. As far as Pete, jury's still out on that.
Why did Pete say he loved Bama and he ain't going nowhere? Damn it, we can't get Pete a job. Is nobody hiring?
Look, the fact of the matter is, Marvin, the crazy part is we pressed Pete hard in his press conference, because somebody gonna ask him, do you still think you're gonna be a coach on the staff? And Pete's like, well, I'm under contract, so hopefully I'll be back.
Well, here's the reality. This is a sign of how good or bad you are as a coach to me. What other coordinator you know that has been at Bama this long that hasn't been offered some type of head coaching job or a coordinator job at another school?
No,
but most of the time it's a head job.
Pete has not been offered anything. Pete has not been offered the water boy position at Tusculum College.
I was going to say Central High School just had a head coaching job open, but my boy took that.
Hey, shout out!
Look, man! Timbuktu just hired a towel boy. In fact, I know it.
Hey, matter of fact, they can use this donation from Eric Beasley, $10. Thank you, sir. All right, before we go down this path even further, this turn our attention real quick to next year. We got some guys returning. Deontay Lawson, who we've already talked about. Malachi Moore announced his decision. Jermaine Burton's coming back. Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, Jaheim Otis, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terry Arnold, among others. Guys, what are we looking at next year? How excited are we about this class?
Hey, man, I got to say this. If we don't get Bill and Peter, I think it's a waste of talent, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
And Big Bill wants to know what kind of effect is Eli Holstein possibly going to have coming in.
I'll say this. I mean, Holstein and Lauren, again, they'll both push. But I feel like it's going to still come down to Milroe and Simpson. It's going to still come down to one of them two. Like, which one of them two is going to take this team right now? Now, at bowl prep, Will Anderson says Ty Simpson talking a little junk. He got some smack talk to him. He got some feistiness about himself. And quarterbacks that got that feistiness in Alabama tend to do well, i.e. A.J. McCarron, Jake Coker, Mac Jones. they all had that little feistiness. It panned out well for them. So Ty Simpson got that kind of in his game a little bit.
Now, defensively, I think we'll be pretty well off, especially on that front seven. I think if Justin Boybe comes back, it'll only take us back to reforming that Great Wall of Hell now, especially with some of these young guys who are coming in. Offensively, running back room, easily the best position coming in. Bo, who do you think is going to be the guy next year? Who do you like? And do you think your boy, your protege, Justice Haynes, may take that top spot?
I like McCullen to start, and I like Justin Haynes to work his way in as the third running back. But there's gonna be some talent in that room, and I think a lot of guys will get a chance to play. And Jay's gonna have a pretty good backup behind him. So, once one come out, it's another one better than him coming in. So I think that running back room probably be the leading on that team.
All right, Marvin, the linebackers. Tell us who you see is going, who should be out there.
I got no comment, man. I'm sorry.
No comment?
No. Here's my thing about it, Coach. I always have a different way to view things. It's one thing, like Bo can view running backs. Okay, we all know running backs are great. They go out there, run routes, they can run the ball. It's easier to gauge and judge how successful a running back will be versus a linebacker. Because a linebacker has to read and react. He has to cover. He has to make tackles. He has to take on guards and tackles. He has to make adjustments. It's so many different things that comes into play that a linebacker actually has to do within the concept of the defense, man. So I just got to see it, man. But I like 32, man. He played a solid game against K-State, man. And I'm looking to see some of these young guys step up because, again, that is the one position where I'll say, man, it's hard to say who's going to be great at it until you actually see them do it. Because I've seen a lot of kids come from high school that were great in high school, but when you're only running 2 or 3 defenses and you only got 1 or 2 reads in high school, it's easy to be great. Versus college, when you got to take in the entire concept of the defense as well as the offense. Because it's no longer, I'm just going to run downhill and just go thump somebody. Now you actually have to play within the scheme of an entire defense. You have to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, guys, we're running towards the end of the show, so it's time for our closing segment. And Marvin, you can lead off talking about 40 Plus Strong, what you got planned for the new year, how folks can find you, all that good stuff, man.
Hey, man, you can catch me on my Instagram, Constant45. The link to my book, Physical and Mental Fitness at 40 Plus, is on my Instagram, man. Again, understanding that the body is different at this age. You have to take a different approach to how you get those results. And coming back, I'm a year removed from knee replacement surgery, so I had to fight a lot of battles to get back in shape because I went a long period not being able to work out for almost 3 months from November up until about February of last year. So after taking 3 months off to be able to come back and put it all back together, you know what I'm talking about? To get these guns back like that, man. It was not an easy journey, but just understanding that you can't do what you did in your 20s and early 30s and think it'll still work in your 40s because your body requires something a little different to get those results at this age.
You're right. All right, Stephen and Smith, what you got coming up? In my own words, tomorrow night. And what folks have to look forward to the off season?
Well, we got folks still talking about these guys declaring for the draft and coming back. I know a lot of people are very happy that Will Reichert's back, so we're going to definitely spend some time talking about that. Laying down potential position battles for spring football. I gotta say this offensive line next year is going to be very interesting because you look at J.C. Latham's going to kick the left tackle. I think right tackle is going to be Elijah Pritchett, who could have played this year but did not due to pectoral surgery he had to have. You got Seth McLaughlin back at center. Tyler Booker's going to be your left guard. Your right guard, I like the Caden Proctor kid. Have him start right there as a freshman. So that, to me, that would be my projected offensive line. But I think with that group, we're going to finally see how good of a coach Eric Wolford is. He came in highly regarded from Kentucky, but now with this being his first big offensive line pass, now that pressure's on him. Can he develop this offensive line group that he brought in? Because these are his dudes. So it's going to be fun to watch this offensive line.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that position group as well. Bo, you got a ton of stuff going on. Man, tell the folks what you got going on, especially what you have going on tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 7:30, developmental focus point. Terry Grant is our guest, him and Johnny Jackson. And I'm also on Cameo, and I also got my clothing line, so make sure you tap into the clothing line and Cameo. And that's about it, Justin.
Yeah, awesome. Guys, we got a big off season.
Hold on, Justin. I want to ask y'all about this Will. Why you laughing, Mark?
I'm just like,
ask what?
What do y'all think about Will coming back?
Will Reichard?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm happy about it because I kind of had an idea that he would do it just because when Jack Martin transferred to Houston, you got 2 young freshman kickers, but they need to be developed. So you have nobody with experience at that spot. So to have Will Reichard turn down the Senior Bowl to come back, he's got an accurate leg. He's consistent. You know he's going to give you. So to have him back, at the very least, your special teams is going to be legit. You know that.
He owed us big time.
I think he just like partying on the strip. Because ain't no way as a kicker he can really improve his stock by coming back.
I mean, his stock is
right,
man. I mean, it's the best. I mean, easily the best Alabama kicker of all time, other than say Van Tiffen and Michael Proctor. Sorry, Ron Pluter didn't make that list, Marvin.
So clearly it's the guy. It's got to be the keg stands in the strip. I'm just saying he's not ready for the real world yet. He's enjoying the party life.
Was that what it is? Is he at the CC with you too?
No. So, bro want one more national championship. Will Rocket want one more natty ring. He want one more.
Well, that could be the case too, but I'm just saying, in reality, he didn't need to come back another year to improve his stock because it's as high as it's going to get for a kicker.
I mean, I still reflect back on when he went perfect on field goals and extra points in 2020, and that went just massively overlooked because of how great the offense was.
Yeah, left off All-American list, which was a crime. Best kicker in the nation, and he's done it 4 years consecutively. Like you said, Marvin, you can't really improve upon perfection.
And to think, Justin, Jeff Banks, Bama's old special teams coach, almost ruined him as a freshman. Think about that.
I try not to, but I'm excited.
Flexor as a freshman, had a bad hip flexor. It didn't happen against Tennessee. Jeff Banks tries to bring him back against Arkansas to punt and kick in that game, and almost made that boy re-aggravate the hip flexor.
Jeez. Hey, but I'm excited. I don't understand his motivation to come back. I'm not going to question it. Like I said, best kicker in America. We'll take it and let Connor Talty develop, in the right timing. But hey, thank goodness he's coming back. But anyway, that's going to do for us. Hit that like and subscribe button. Guys, if you don't know about our YouTube channel, go to the Bama Standard YouTube channel and subscribe right now. We've got a ton of the clips that you love from the shows that you absolutely adore. And also, we got shows on there too. Developmental Focus Points, Bo Scarbrough every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Central. And then Matt Caddell and Chris James have their show on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. over there. We got a lot going on, especially during the off season. As far as us here on TDA, the Bama Standard, tune in next week. Ken Darby is going to be here. Yes, Bo, we got an offensive guy coming in. I know we've been heavy on the defensive guys, so I decided for the new year to give you a good dose of offensive players.
There we go.
Hey, I want to appreciate Tat Lawson for saying I got a Freddy Krueger shirt on.
But as far as the offseason, folks, I'll remind you, yes, we will be keeping up with Alabama news. But we're going to go back to interviewing legends, getting some stories from these guys, going back to what we did, before the season started. But we're going to entertain you nonetheless. But that'll do it for us. Everyone have a good night and roll tide.
Roll Tide.
Yes, sir.